I have a story for you guys. This is a bit humorous because of how ridiculous it is, and it's a little creepy, too. And I don't know what it is with creeps and stuff weird that happens to me, but it is what it is. So, let me think about how to start this. So, I have this friend, let's call her, I keep on thinking her actual name. Let's call her Sarah. Okay, Sarah. So, this girl, Sarah, was a friend of mine, and kind of give you a little bit of backstory to give you an idea. So, my dad was a photographer. She was one of the clients that came in to get some pictures taken, and she was a stripper, which is not really somebody I would normally hang out with, but I was kind of young, and I was underage. I knew I was probably about 18, 19 or something like that, like underage, like go drinking, because it's 21 here. And she was older, like probably about 23, 24, I'm thinking, and I kind of looked up to her, because, not that she was a stripper, but like looked up to her because like she lived on her own, and I was still living at home, and she just was really independent, and she had lots of money. Obviously she made really good money, and she was like really, really fun too. Like she just had a really fun, like outgoing personality. So because we were so close in age, and my dad worked with her and stuff, me and her would work together too. When I was working with my dad at the studio, we got talking and decided, like, hey, like, why don't we go hang out sometime? So I'm thinking, oh, why not? You know, she seems like pleasant enough. Nothing wrong with that. I don't judge, you know. I don't care what you do. It's your life. Anyway, so that was her background. So we decided to go out, and so to give you an idea, we went down to Old Orchard, which is probably about 45 minutes or so away from where I live, and it's down by the ocean, Old Orchard Beach, and we got a boardwalk and everything. It's like the place everybody likes to go hang out in the summer, especially back then. This is like probably early 2000s, I believe, like maybe like 99, 2000, exactly around there. So I'm not sure, but God, I hope I didn't just like totally give off my age. But anyway, so we would go down, people would go down there, and a lot of people would drive their cars around, like, in circles, like, they had really nice cars, and everybody, you'd get in trouble sometimes, too, for doing it, but everybody would bring down their really nice cars, and people would, you know, show them off by driving them around and stuff around the boardwalk, and people would just hang out and walk around. It was really fun. So anyway, she told me she could get me into one of the clubs, even though it was underage, because she was kind of hanging out with this guy who was a client at the strip club that he owned one of the clubs, and he would get me in. He just didn't want me drinking, but he'd let me come in and dance with my friend. So I'm thinking, oh, sounds like this would be fun. So yet again, another situation where I went in my friend's car. Not doing this ever again. Just letting you know. I never do it ever anymore. I drive all the time. But I went in her car down here, about 45 minutes away. And we were going to get into this club. So we go there, everything's great. The guy, she goes and talks to the guy. The guy's like, yeah, you know, you're about 18, 19, it's not that big of a deal. Just, you can't drink, but, you know, you come in and dance. Just, you know, obviously not causing any trouble or anything. Well, there was a little dance-off going on. She really, really was, you know, likes to dance. She's a dancer, so she, you know, she could dance really well anyway. So what she does is piss off the guy who owns the club by grinding up on this really, like, he was a, you know, a good-looking guy and was dancing really good, but she's grinding up on this guy and dancing with him, and everybody is, like, clapping around and, like, woo, you know, it was, like, a big scene because she, like, they won the contest, the dance-off, and he's watching in the corner, like, not impressed at all. He's like, bitch, I just let you into this club with let your underage friend in this club. You're supposed to be hanging out with me, like, hanging out, you know, kind of seeing each other a little bit, and now you're grinding up on this dude over here and making a big scene and everything. So immediately, one of the bartenders walks up to me, because how can he get back at her? How can he, you know, find a way to, you know, hurt her back? Kick me the hell out. So he does. One of them come up to me and they tell me, you're underage, you can't be in here, you have to leave. And I'm just like, well, this wasn't the plan, and of course I'm furious. What the hell are you doing? And I try to get her attention, and I let her know, like, hey, you know, it's really loud in there. It's like blaring music. And I'm like, they're kicking me out. She's like, what? And I'm like, they're kicking me out. We gotta go. And she's like, let me just finish this dance. Because she didn't even drink either. She just liked to just dance and everything. So she's like, let me finish this dance. So I was like, all right, fine. So I go outside, because they're ushering me out. And so I sit there, and I'm like right on the boardwalk. And I'm waiting. And I'm waiting. And I'm waiting. And I swear about 20 minutes go by. She still hasn't come out. I can't get anybody's attention. I'm trying to get the bouncer's attention and be like, can you please go and get my friend in there? I'm waiting for her. He's refusing to. The guy is just looking at me from way down. The owner of the place is like standing right through the doorway. You can see me just sitting there like smirking, like, nothing you can do about it. And he's glaring at her, and she's still dancing. She's still dancing with this guy, grinding all over him, making a scene. Just doesn't even care that she just left me totally outside by myself. And I'm just sitting there with nothing to do. I can't go anywhere. I don't have a car. I don't have any money to go and get a taxi. I don't have anybody to come and get me. My parents aren't going to drive 45 minutes out to come get me to go do something that they wouldn't have liked me going into some club when I'm underage. So I was like doing something I wasn't even supposed to be doing. So I was in a totally shitty situation. So, oh man, sorry about the lights, like changing. The sun is rising. Ah. But so the bitch leaves me outside. What the like, I'm outside. I swear, I probably was out there for an hour, and I had no ride. All I wanted her to give me the freaking keys so I could just leave, because she was not planning on coming out to get me, didn't even give a shit. And I told her, it was like, this girl is a bitch. What a bitch. Who does that to somebody else? Like, especially when you just meet somebody and you're like, and she's trying to be like friends with my dad so that she can get like more pictures done for her job and stuff, because she needs it for like the website and all that stuff. And he was giving her a special deal because they were getting buddies, like they were becoming like friends, because she said she'd do like some free like work for him or do some advertisement work for him, because she was really pretty and she was really a good model. And to do this to his daughter, not cool at all. And I wish it ended there. This happened too. I think that this happened shortly after. What happened now? The club closed, and she came out finally, and she's like, oh, you're still here. Like, where the hell am I going to go? I mean, I could have like probably walked down the boardwalk and go like play some video games at the arcade or go talk to somebody or whatever. I mean, but usually my friends are all down there anyway. Like, I'd usually bump into somebody. I think I actually did bump into like somebody along the way, but they were like, the big thing then was, I'm not even getting into it, they were just all messed up. So they were no help. So I saw them, I was like, hi, bye, yep, I'm stuck here. So I just kept sitting right there on that friggin' sidewalk and just like, what the hell? The curb, I'm sorry. I was sitting there right on that curb thinking, what the hell do I do? I can't do anything but sit here and wait. And there was no like nice like phone to sit and play with or anything. Like, there was nothing. I couldn't, like, I didn't even have a phone, I think, then. I think it was like when we had like pagers or something. It was so, yeah, I know, it's bad time back then. No, I know I had a phone, but it didn't even matter. It wasn't like one of the nice smartphones or anything. It was just like an old like flip phone, or probably Nokia, like those old school ones that are like non-breakable at all. Like, I throw that against the wall so many times that thing would never break. Those things are indestructible. But there was this other time too that this happened, that she put me in another bad situation, and my mom actually freaked out, and like literally it was the funniest thing. She threw keys into the wall after she found out what happened to me, because I talked to my mom about everything. I kind of was telling her this kind of casually, not like telling her so I would get this girl in trouble, but kind of more like, can you believe this happened to me, Mom? Like, this girl did this, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, me and my mom would just talk about stuff like that. Well, she freaked. She hardly ever freaks out about stuff, because she's like, anyways, so I tell my mom, and she freaks out. This is like going ahead of the story, but this is funny. My mom sees this girl walk through the door. She takes her keys that got like tons of stuff on them and chucks it at her head, and it sticks in the wall. Like, no joke, it's stuck there on the wall. And the look on this girl's face is the most horrifying look, like, holy shit, I pissed off Mama Bear. You don't do that when her kid is like put in a bad situation because she went out with you, and you're like the adult that's supposed to make sure she's safe, and you left her like out on the street. And then that's what happened afterwards. Then she made up with this guy because, of course, like, he had money. I came to find out this girl was not a good person to hang out with, but, you know, you learn. So, we wind up going back to this guy's house. And this is not where I wanted to go. I wanted to go home. I was over it. I was over it like hours ago when I was kicked out of the club and sitting there on the curb for an hour waiting. And the place closes up. And they're fighting like out in the street loudly back and forth. And then finally they like agree. Like she makes up with them like, oh, I'm sorry, baby, blah, blah. And like we wind up following back to his house, which was closer to where we live. So we went back into like Portland. So we're close to where I lived in South Portland, which, you know, is only like about 5 minutes away. But still, I just want to go home. So I kind of just tagged along. Then we get to this guy's house, and he has this roommate. Well, she's all like making out with this guy over here. I'm sitting there just like, okay, like, maybe you could have just taken me home? Maybe? Please? No. Instead, she decides that this guy that was like, I'm a teenager, and this guy looked like he was like in his 40s and like was gross, so gross and grimy and just creepy, so creepy. And he was like telling me like these weird sex stories, and then like took out a knife and was talking about like, oh, you know, your skin's so soft, and like trying to rub it against like my face. And I'm like, get the frig away from me, no. And I'm trying to get my friend's attention over here. Like, we were in the living room, but there was like, it was a studio kind of, so it had like a little bit of a divider for where his like room was, but it was like open, so it was all open space. She's over there on the couch making out, doing stuff with this guy. I'm over here stuck because it's the only place I can stay, like, unless I want to sit on top of them, that I could sit is over on this side where his friend is. And I'm stuck here listening to these creepy stories he's telling me, and he's getting these other sexual stuff. And I know where he was going with this, thinking like, oh, well, you know, your friend over here is easy, you must be too. I learned that quickly. By association. Be careful. Don't be hanging out with strippers if you don't, well, sorry about that. Not all strippers. Slutty and really irresponsible, bitchy, and selfish strippers don't hang out with, because by association you are going to be classified as slutty and irresponsible and all that stuff. I think this guy thought I was older than I was too, just because me hanging out. Probably thought I was a stripper too. I don't know, but he probably could tell by the way I was responding that I was pretty horrified, and I was just like, okay, like, and I'm like, what is my friend doing? Because can we get out of here yet? Like, is she like fucking this guy now? Like, what is going on? And then this guy's like taking out this knife. It's freaking me out, because it's like he's not acting like threatening with it, but he's like, you know, like, oh, sexual, and like, I like to cut a little bit for blood, and he's like into all this like weird shit, and I'm just like, whoa, man, like, this is not what I signed up for tonight. I just wanted to go to a club. I'm dressed all cute, and I just want to go to a club. I just wanted to jam out and I just wanted to dance and have a good time and go home. That's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted. And it wasn't happening. It wasn't happening tonight. And so finally, I don't know what happened. Oh, this also happened then too. At some point they were done, so we were all like together in like the living room, and I think we were heading out the door. Well, there was this wall, like that is like their wall of fame, and I'm like, wall of shame. It's like all the girls that have entered into their apartment has a topless photo of them, like a Polaroid, right up, if you know what Polaroids are. They had a Polaroid photo of them all tacked up on the wall right there by the door. So they're like, you guys can't leave yet until you get, you know, our topless photo of you guys, because like this is like their, you know, memorial wall of the girls that show up at their house, that they're all like topless in these pictures. My friend, of course, is like, yeah, hey, I show them all the time, why not, I don't care, and puts me in this horrible position because I'm not doing it. I'm like, I'm not going topless. What do you mean right now? Like, I am like underage, or pretty much underage, and especially for some 40-something-year-old guy, and you're acting like a creep, and you want me to get topless now? So she does it, and she's like trying to pressure me into it, like, oh, it's no big deal. Your boobs look like they'd be fine. Don't worry. Da 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 da. Like, it's no big deal. Yeah, right. I'm totally not going to be showing these random guys my boobs and then let them take a picture of it. after I just sat here and like listened to this creepoid story and then watched her like make out this guy, got kicked out by the guy earlier from the club, let me sitting on the side. No. I was over it. So I was like, no, not happening. I want to go home now. I'm like, Sarah, I want to go home now. And she finally was like, okay, like, geez. I hate when people do that, too. It's when you've been, like, not even mean at all. You've been really, really patient with them, and they've been just pushing and pushing and pushing you to your limits of what you can handle. And then you finally just snap, and you're like, I cannot do this anymore. Like, done. Just done. Over. No. And they're just like, whoa, where's that come from? Like, like, just absolutely no, like, social type of skills at all. Like, just, she just doesn't care about anybody, which I've come to find out, because I know the girl for a couple more years after that, and she just did not care about anybody. She would put you in the most horrible situations, and that was one of the worst she put me in. And I'm sorry to say, yeah, there was some times that, like, I forgave her, like, a year down the road, and we got older, and we started to, like, hang out again, thinking, like, oh, well, she was fun, like, when we would just, like, hang out, and it was me and her, like, at her house, and doing, like, girly things, and that'd be fun. Like, then it was, like, Sex and the City was a big thing, so we'd sit and watch the shows together, and stuff like that would be fun. Like, that was cool, and there's no guys around. It's just whenever there was any guys around, or if we were going to any clubs or anything like that, I had to make sure I brought my own car, had plenty of money, and don't trust her at all. Usually bring a guy with me, even if it was just like a friend, and just have him as like protection to be like, hey, you're my boyfriend for the night, so this guy just stays away from me, and if I'm interested, then you can go away. You know, you need those kind of guys sometimes in your life. They can be quite helpful. So yeah, we got out of that situation. I did not do the topless photo. She wound up not even doing it. She did take off her top, but then I kind of ruined the mood for it after I kind of freaked out. And I immediately stormed out the door, went all the way down the stairs, so it was like a big condo, really tall, and I just went down all the stairs, just like boom, 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 like so pissed. Went down to her car, just stood there waiting by her car, like, let's go now. And she's like saying her goodbyes and apologizing, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know why she's acting like that. Like, are you kidding me? Are you serious right now? Whatever. And I just think, like, who does this? Who does this? But there are these people. There are these people that are just, they have just no, just decency for other people, or any type of social cues of, like, well, this person's not having a good time right now. Like, when I want to take somebody out and, like, hang out, like, cause she's taking me out to, like, hang out with people she knows. I'm gonna take my friend out somewhere, and if she feels really uncomfortable, I'd be like, let's go do something else. Like, I can see people some other time, on my own time. I can go, you know, screw this guy some other time, on my own time, without bringing this girl here along with me, who's obviously not having it. So, we finally go home, and it wasn't that night, but she dropped me off, blah, blah, blah. A couple days passed, and I think I just was sitting in my dad's den, and we were just talking, and just kind of, I think, like, me and my mom would often just, like, have tea, and just, you know, it sounds so funny, we'd have a little tea, we'd have some tea, and we'd sit and talk, and I pretty much would tell her everything. I just, like, she was like my best friend. She never judged me for anything, because she had quite a wild childhood, so nothing I could do could really compare. But she's awesome, my mom, and me and my mom are still really, really close. So I was just kind of telling her what happened, and by this time I could kind of laugh a little bit about it. I was just like, this was so ridiculous, could you believe this? This is what happened. She kind of asked, like, how'd it go when you went out with your friend Sarah, and this, I almost said her real name. How'd it go when you went out with your friend Sarah and all that? How, you know, she's like a nice girl, And I was like, no. Let me tell you something, what happened. And so I told her about what happened, and it was going back to that guy's house with the creepy guy with the knife and all that put her over the edge, because she is so protective of something happening to me, like somebody raping me, or, I mean, obviously, you're going to be protective about your children, but she's really protective about me being put in bad situations like that. And she felt like, since this girl is so much, like, older than me, like, about a good 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years older than me, that she's somebody I'm looking up to, and that is kind of like kicking her daughter out and making sure she's safe and that she's in an okay environment. Instead, she puts me in this awful, horrid environment. So she came back because she was kind of trying to be buddy-buddy with everybody, and she was trying to be buddy with my mom, But she came back, and my mom just tweaked on her, and she hardly ever does this, but she just tweaked, like lost it. And my mom, if anybody knows her, she is the most mellow, like cool, easygoing person. Everybody loves coming by and like talking to my mom. They'll tell her all kinds of stuff. She'll keep your secrets. She's not going to judge you. I mean, you could tell her anything. It's not going to faze her. She's just going to be like, really? That's interesting. And I mean, I tell her stuff half the time, and she'd be like, really? That's what the kids are doing? It's just, it was great having my mom. She was a good mom. And, but she freaked out really bad about this because she just did not like it at all that she put me in that position. And the key thing in the wall was just classic. Like, we still laugh about it because I don't know how the hell she did it. I mean, they were heavy keys. They should have just gone, like, bashed right off the wall, but instead it goes, ding, right in the wall and stuck there. It did fall, like, right after, but it was like, ding, right in the wall. And it was right by her head, and she was just like, and it was so funny because Sarah is just such a wimp. Such a wimp. If you confront her on anything, or if you do anything, I mean, she's just a wimp. She just was like, and just ran out the door crying and just got in her car, took off. We didn't see her for a while until, like, later down the road, like, she was doing some more work or something, and we decided to kind of give her another chance because she did have, like, a really good personality and was really nice and stuff, but she just would make really poor decisions, and she was very selfish. So it just would suck in those type of aspects because when it came, it's like, not, she wasn't selfish, like, where she was just, like, mean all the time. It was just that if it came down to your happiness or her happiness always came first. So, anyway, this is so long and dragged out, but that was my experience with hanging out with a stripper. Not all are like that, but that was my experience with hanging out with a stripper of her caliber, which was interesting, but say the least. It was an experience, and I'm just thankful yet again that nothing bad happened. It was just a couple of creeps, but I'm very thankful for the fact that my mom raised me to have a voice, so I would make sure I use it and that I put my foot down. And I pretty much would tolerate a lot of things, and some people might think I'm like a pushover in some ways because I want to help people and I'll put up with certain things for a certain while, but I get to that point where you just push me too far, and you know, it's like this big, like my head opens up and this monster comes right out, and it's not good. So anyway, so that's my story about that, and I hope you enjoyed it. And so like, subscribe, I believe is up there somewhere. I believe it's up there, or it might be, I don't know. Comment. Alright, anyway, subscribe, say like please, and leave a comment below if you have any type of experiences where you went out with somebody for the first time and it just didn't really turn out to be the way that you thought it was going to be, and maybe if you had some kind of crazy experience or what you thought of my story, if maybe there's some things I probably should have done differently. Like, I should have just laughed immediately, just called my parents, but it's nothing. Alright, but anyway, thank you for watching. Alright, bye.